The city never slept, but that night, the silence was deafening. Red emergency lights flashed against the mirrored glass of the Starlight Tower, headquarters of the billion-dollar Arden Group. Inside, chaos reigned. Doctors, security, and panicked executives rushed through the hallways, the sound of running footsteps echoing like thunder. Ethan Arden, the 32-year-old CEO known as the Ice King of Finance, lay motionless on a stretcher, his crisp white shirt soaked crimson. A car crash. Broken ribs. Internal bleeding. Every hospital in the city had said the same thing. He won't make it till morning. The board waited in grim silence, praying for a miracle, not out of love, but out of fear. Without Ethan, Arden Group would crumble. And outside the glass doors of Central City Hospital, a girl with dirt-streaked cheeks pressed her trembling hands against the window. Her name was Mira Hale, 23, homeless, invisible to the world. She had been sitting under the hospital bridge, clutching a tattered blanket, when she saw the ambulance arrive. She didn't know who the man was. She only saw the panic, the desperate cry for blood. O negative, rare type, no donors found. And she whispered to herself, "That's my type." Inside the emergency room, Dr. Kwan shouted, "We're losing him." Blood pressure dropping. A nurse burst in. "No match found, sir, no one with O negative." Ethan's face was ghostly pale, his pulse fading like a dying ember. Then came a soft, shaking voice. "I'm O negative." Everyone turned. Mira stood in the doorway, wearing an oversized hoodie, soaked from the rain, her hair tangled. Security immediately moved forward. "Ma'am, this area is restricted." But Dr. Kwan raised a hand. "Wait. What did you say?" She stepped closer, clutching her arm. "I said, I'll donate. Please, just save him." The room went still. The board members exchanged uneasy looks. They couldn't risk contamination. They couldn't trust a stranger. But time was running out. Ethan's heart monitor began to flatline. "Doctor, we're out of time," a nurse screamed. Dr. Kwan's jaw tightened. "Prep the transfusion." Minutes later, Mira lay beside the unconscious CEO. Her thin arm trembled as the needle slid in, connecting her vein to his. The sight was surreal, a billionaire and a girl from the streets, bound by a single line of blood. The room was silent except for the rhythmic hum of the monitors. Dr. Kwan whispered, "Pulse returning, stabilize the flow." Mira blinked through exhaustion, watching the man's color slowly return. His eyelids fluttered once, and then opened. For just a second, their eyes met. His gaze was unfocused, dazed, but when he saw her, a stranger, pale and trembling, his lips parted as if to speak. "Who are you?" he rasped weakly. Mira didn't answer. Her strength was slipping away. She'd given too much blood. When the monitor beeped steadily again, she smiled faintly. "You're alive. That's enough." Her world tilted, and she fainted. Hours later, Ethan awoke in a dim hospital suite, tubes running into his arm. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. "Where is she?" he murmured hoarsely. Dr. Kwan frowned. "Who, sir?" "The girl who gave the blood." The doctor hesitated. "She left before we could even thank her. Said she didn't need anything." Ethan's brow furrowed. In his mind, flashes of her face lingered, messy hair, cracked lips, a fragile calm in her eyes. She didn't flinch at death. She didn't ask for money. She simply gave. He tried to sit up, pain lancing through his ribs. "Find her." "Sir." She didn't leave a name. "Then look for her." His voice, though weak, carried the steel that had built an empire. Outside, the storm had ended. But for Ethan, something unfamiliar stirred, a flicker of warmth, confusion, life. For the first time in years, he felt human again. Meanwhile, under the same rain-streaked sky, Mira stumbled back into the cold streets, holding her bandaged arm. The world was already forgetting her act of mercy. She found her spot under the bridge, her body aching, her heart strangely heavy. She didn't know who that man was, only that his eyes haunted her, that he looked at her like she was real. As she curled beneath her thin blanket, she whispered to herself, I hope he lives a good life. And miles away, in a room surrounded by bodyguards and machines, Ethan whispered the same words, except his tone carried a promise. Cliffhanger. The powerful CEO awakens obsessed with finding the mysterious girl who saved his life, unaware she's homeless, and that their fates are about to collide again in ways neither could imagine. I'll find you. Rain lashed against the glass of Arden Group's skyscraper, the city lights blurring into gold streaks on the windowpane. Inside, silence dominated the top floor, the kind of silence that only power and danger could create. Ethan Arden, once untouchable, sat in a wheelchair by his office window. Just 3 weeks after the crash, his recovery was labeled miraculous. But inside, nothing felt the same. His chest bore a dull ache, not from the accident, but from the question that refused to leave him. Who was she? The mysterious girl with rain in her eyes and blood on her hands, his savior. He'd offered $1 million reward, put private investigators on the streets, even scanned every hospital record in the city. Yet no one had found her. Sir, his assistant murmured, we've checked every donor list. No matches. Ethan's grip tightened on the armrest. Then check the streets. The shelters. The alleys if you must. His tone sliced through the room like glass. The assistant bowed and hurried out. Ethan turned his gaze to the skyline, the empire he'd built through logic and ruthlessness. Now, for the first time, logic meant nothing. He owed his life to someone who had nothing. And somewhere below that shining tower of glass, that same girl shivered in the rain. Mira Hale huddled inside a broken bus stop, clutching a half-eaten sandwich. Her arm still ached from the transfusion, the bandage long gone. The hospital had offered her a few dollars and a thank-you card she never took. Gratitude didn't pay rent. Her stomach twisted, but her pride was stronger than hunger. She'd survived worse. That night, a young mother and her child came running through the rain, chased by a man shouting for money. Mira stepped between them without thinking. Hey, she yelled, her voice shaking but firm. Leave them alone. The man froze. She was small, weak-looking, but her eyes held fire. He spat on the ground, cursed, and walked away. The mother sobbed in gratitude. Thank you. You're brave. Mira smiled faintly. No. Just stupid enough to care. As the woman disappeared into the night, Myra's laughter cracked, part pride, part loneliness. She sat back down, unaware that just across the street, a black luxury car had stopped. Behind tinted glass, Ethan's assistant whispered, Sir, we may have found her. The car door opened. Mira flinched as 2 men in suits approached. Miss Hale, one asked. She froze. Who's asking? Mr. Ethan Arden wishes to see you. She laughed bitterly. Yeah? And I wish for a mansion. Good night. Then a tall figure stepped out of the car. The rain caught in his dark hair, his sharp suit immaculate despite the weather. Ethan. Her breath caught. She recognized those eyes instantly. You, she whispered. Ethan stepped closer, his gaze searching her face like he was trying to memorize it. You saved my life. Her jaw tightened. I didn't do it for thanks. I know, he said softly, but I owe you everything. Myra's hands clenched in her sleeves. You don't owe me anything. Go home, CEO. But Ethan didn't move. Instead, he took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The warmth startled her. Then at least let me do this much. Mira tried to push it back. I don't need charity. He met her eyes. This isn't charity. It's respect. Something in his tone disarmed her. It wasn't pity. It was sincerity. The world only looked at her with disgust or avoidance. This man, powerful enough to buy half the city, was looking at her like she mattered. Still, she shook her head. People like you don't see people like me. Until you need something. His expression darkened, rain dripping from his lashes. You think I don't understand that? That's what my whole life is built on. People who only come when I'm useful. For a heartbeat, silence hung between them, the rain the only witness. Finally, Ethan spoke again, lower this time. Come with me, Mira. Let me help you. She laughed bitterly. Help me? You think I can walk into your marble palace and pretend to belong? I don't fit your world, Mr. Arden. Maybe my world is what doesn't fit, he murmured. Myra's eyes flicked to him, startled. She saw not the CEO everyone feared, but a man drowning quietly behind calm eyes. She turned away. I don't need saving. Ethan's voice followed, soft but unyielding. Then let me be the one who owes you forever. Her footsteps stopped. That line, the raw honesty in it, pulled something deep inside her. Finally, she sighed.
Fine.
One meal. That's it. Ethan nodded, almost smiling for the first time in years. One meal. They sat in a quiet restaurant later that night, the contrast jarring. Her in his oversized jacket, him with a bandaged arm. The waiters stared, whispering. She ignored them. As they ate, he asked gently, "Why did you do it?" She shrugged. "You were dying. I was there. That's all." "No," Ethan said, leaning forward. "That's not all. Most people walk away." Her gaze dropped to the steaming cup between her hands. "Because I know what it's like to be left behind." He froze. Her tone softened, but her eyes glistened. "People look at you, decide what you're worth, and that's it. No one asks if you're hungry or hurt. They just look through you." Ethan couldn't breathe. Every word felt like a mirror held to his own soul, a reflection of the loneliness wealth could never cure. "Mira," he said quietly, "if you ever want a place to stay." She cut him off with a faint smile. "Then you'd be the one walking away, once you realize I don't fit your perfect world." Their eyes met, defiance against gentleness, fire meeting frost. And in that quiet, something shifted, something dangerous and magnetic. Ethan looked at her like she was the only real thing left in his carefully constructed life. Mira stood to leave. "Thanks for the meal, Mr. Arden. But don't look for me again." She walked out into the rain, disappearing into the night. Ethan didn't move. He just whispered to the empty chair, "You can't save someone who already saved you." Cliffhanger. Ethan realizes the woman who saved him wants nothing from him, not his money, not his gratitude. For a man who's bought everything, that makes her the one thing he can't stop wanting. The morning headlines screamed his name. Ethan Arden spotted with unknown woman. Homeless girl dines with billionaire CEO. Mystery connection? Flashes, whispers, scandal. The image of Mira, rain-soaked hair, oversized jacket, standing beside Ethan outside that restaurant had gone viral overnight. Inside the Arden Group's glass tower, the boardroom was a battlefield. "Sir, this woman, she's a liability. The shareholders are furious. Rumors say she's blackmailing you." Ethan raised a hand. The room fell silent. His voice, low and even, carried more power than any shout. "No one says her name again. Not in this building. Not in my company." A stunned silence followed. "Mr. Arden," the CFO began nervously. Ethan's eyes, cold as steel, cut through him. "That's not a request." He rose, every inch of him the formidable CEO again, but inside his chest, something was unraveling. Mira Hale, the girl who wanted nothing from him, had become the one thing his empire couldn't control. Across the city, Mira sat on the curb outside a shelter, clutching a newspaper someone had thrown away. Her face, blurry but recognizable, stared back at her. She felt her stomach twist. Not with pride, but fear. She'd wanted to disappear quietly, to fade back into the background. Now her name was being dragged through gossip shows and social media storms. She slammed the paper shut. "Stupid," she whispered to herself. "You shouldn't have gone with him." Just then, a sleek car stopped in front of her. The door opened. A familiar voice, calm, steady, impossible to ignore.
"Mira."
"Get in." She didn't move. "You've done enough, Mr. Arden. Now your world's laughing at me." He stepped out, ignoring the rain. "They're laughing at me, not you."
She scoffed.
"You really think that makes it better?" Ethan's voice softened. "You didn't deserve this." Myra's chin trembled, not from fear, but anger she couldn't explain. "Then why did you drag me into your world?" Because you saved my life.
That's not a reason, she snapped.
That's an excuse. Their eyes met, two wounded souls standing on opposite sides of a life neither asked for. Finally, Ethan said quietly, "Then let me make it right." Before she could refuse, he opened the car door again, and this time, she got in. The mansion was silent when they arrived. Too big, too bright, too perfect. Mira stood in the grand hallway, staring at the marble floors, the chandelier glittering above her like 1,000 unspoken judgments. "This is where you live?" she whispered. Ethan nodded, watching her with unreadable eyes. "And this is where you'll stay?" Mira turned sharply.
No.
"I can't." "You can. Just until the noise dies down. It's not safe out there now. I've lived on the streets for 3 years. I think I'll survive a few headlines." He took a step closer. "Not when your face is everywhere. I won't risk that." There was something in his tone that made her pause, not arrogance, but protectiveness. Still, her pride pushed back. "You can't just decide where I stay." "I can when someone tries to follow you from the shelter," he said quietly. Her eyes widened.
What?
"I had men watching for your safety." Mira went silent, processing the weight of his words. He'd been watching, protecting her, even when she didn't want him to. "You don't even know me," she murmured. Ethan's gaze softened. "Then let me fix that." Days passed in uneasy rhythm. Mira stayed in the guest room, though room hardly described the sunlit space with its velvet drapes and gold-framed mirrors. Ethan, still recovering from his injuries, worked from home. Their paths crossed, in the kitchen at midnight, the garden in the morning, each meeting quiet but charged with tension. One night, Mira found him sitting in the study, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. The city lights glowed behind him like stars. "You don't sleep much, do you?" she asked softly. He looked up, surprised. "Neither do you." She shrugged, stepping closer. "Hard to sleep when everything feels like a dream you'll wake up from." "Then maybe I'll stay awake with you," he said quietly. Their eyes locked, a silent current passing between them. Ethan leaned forward slightly. "Why don't you trust me, Mira?" She froze. "Because people like you don't see people like me unless it makes them feel noble." "I don't feel noble," he said, voice low. "I feel alive." For the first time since before the crash. Mira blinked, caught off guard. His tone wasn't smooth, it was raw, almost fragile. She whispered, "You shouldn't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because I might start believing them." For a moment, the air between them thickened. Rain outside, hearts inside, both restless. Then Ethan leaned back, forcing a smile. "Good. Believe them." The next morning, Mira found a note outside her door. "Breakfast downstairs. And please, no running away this time."
Yay.
She laughed softly, shaking her head. But when she went down, the table was empty, except for a news alert flashing on the TV. Arden Group under investigation. Board moves to remove CEO. Myra's heart dropped. Ethan stormed in moments later, tie undone, fury burning behind his calm mask. "They're using the scandal," he said. "They think I'm distracted, that I've gone soft." She stood there, torn. "So this is because of me?" "No," he said firmly. "This is because they fear me. And now they'll know what fear really feels like." He turned toward the door, ready to go to war with the world. But before he left, he looked at her once more. "If I lose everything, Mira, I just don't want to lose you too." Her lips parted, but no words came. And then he was gone, leaving her in the echoing silence of his mansion, clutching his note like it was the only thing anchoring her to this impossible world. Cliffhanger. Ethan faces betrayal within his empire, while Mira begins to realize she's no longer invisible, to him or to the world. But as danger closes in, their growing bond is about to be tested by forces neither can control. Story title: Everyone failed to save the dying CEO until a homeless girl's blood brought him back and stole his heart. The night air outside the CEO's mansion was razor cold, slicing through Elena's thin sweater as she stood at the gates. The city glittered behind her, but she couldn't feel its beauty. Inside that house, his house, was where her secret now lived. Her blood, her life inside him.
And he didn't even know.
Elena's fingers trembled as she clutched the small envelope Dr. Rivera had given her earlier. "You need to stay away from him," the doctor had warned, eyes grave. "There's something about your blood that's unexplainable. It's reacting inside him. His system isn't rejecting it, it's absorbing it." She had laughed then, bitterly. Absorbing it? What does that even mean? Now she wasn't laughing. Because Alexander Thorne, the ruthless, untouchable CEO who'd been clinically dead for 6 minutes, was awake and asking for her. Inside the mansion, Alexander's voice echoed against marble walls. "Find her," he commanded his assistant, Damien. "The girl from the hospital. The one who gave the transfusion." Damien hesitated. "Sir, we don't have her full name. She disappeared before the paperwork was processed." "Then look harder," Alexander snapped. His tone carried the weight of command, but beneath it, a strange edge of desperation. He pressed a hand against his chest. The rhythm of his heartbeat still felt wrong. Too strong. Too aware. Every pulse seemed to hum with warmth, something alive that didn't belong to him. And at night he saw her. A girl with hollow cheeks and fire in her eyes. Standing over him, her voice whispering, "Don't die, please." He didn't remember her name, but her face haunted him more than the darkness he'd come back from. By morning, Elena's resolve broke. She needed money, food, a roof, anything. She'd been living in the alley behind St. Mary's for days. She told herself she would just walk past his company building. Just see that he was alive. Just once. But fate was crueler. As she neared the revolving glass doors of Thorne Enterprises, a sleek black car screeched to a stop beside her. The window rolled down. "Miss Elena?" Damien's voice. Her blood ran cold. "Mr. Thorne requests to see you," he said, polite but firm. Immediately, she froze. "How did you? Please don't make me cause a scene." And just like that, she was whisked away into the lion's den. The elevator ride up 75 floors was suffocating. Elena's reflection in the polished walls looked out of place. Faded jeans, tired eyes, a borrowed sweater. The higher they climbed, the more she wanted to run. When the doors opened, she stepped into a world of glass, power, and silence. Alexander stood near the panoramic window, his back to her. His posture was straight, his suit immaculate, but there was a sharp fragility in the way his shoulders rose and fell. He turned. Their eyes met, and time cracked open. The same man she'd seen half dead under hospital lights now stood before her, alive but haunted. "You," he said, his voice low, almost reverent. "It was you." Elena swallowed. "I didn't do anything special. I just—" "You gave me your blood," he interrupted. His gaze searched her face, as though every second revealed a new secret. "They told me no one else's worked. Only yours." Her heart thudded. "Then you should be grateful. And move on." He stepped closer. "I've built an empire on control. But ever since that night, I can't control this." He touched his chest lightly. "Every heartbeat feels like it belongs to someone else." She turned away, trembling. "That's not my problem, Mr. Thorne." "It is your problem," he said, his voice darkening. "Because you didn't just save my life, you changed it." Elena laughed bitterly, trying to hide her fear. "I'm just a homeless girl. You're the CEO of half this city. Don't romanticize a medical accident." Alexander's jaw tightened. "If this was an accident, why does your name appear in my dreams every night?" The silence between them grew heavy. Then suddenly, pain shot through Alexander's chest. He staggered, gripping the table. "It's happening again," he gasped. Elena's instincts kicked in. She ran to him, catching him before he fell. Her hand brushed his chest, then something impossible happened. The monitors in the office blinked to life, tracking his pulse. And right there, in real time, his heart stabilized the moment her hand touched him. Both froze. He looked down at her hand on his chest. "You feel that?" he whispered. Her eyes widened. What is this?" Neither had an answer. When she pulled away, Her hand shook. "I can't be here," she said, voice cracking. "Whatever this is, it's wrong." But before she could reach the door, Alexander's words stopped her cold. "You think I'm letting you walk away again?" His tone softened, carrying an undercurrent of something vulnerable. "You're the only reason I'm alive." She turned, eyes filled with tears. "Then maybe that's the mistake." The door slammed behind her as she ran out, leaving him standing alone, the echo of her words burning in his chest. As Elena fled into the street, her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered, breathless. A distorted voice whispered, "If Thorn lives because of your blood, then you're in danger, too." Her heart stopped. The line went dead. The night of the gala was supposed to celebrate Thorn Enterprises' triumphant comeback. Instead, it became a battlefield. Flashbulbs popped like gunfire across the grand ballroom as journalists crowded the red carpet. Chandeliers blazed above polished marble, and laughter rippled through a sea of tuxedos and diamonds. But for Alexander Thorn, none of it felt real, because Elena wasn't answering his calls. She had vanished 3 days ago after that cryptic warning on the phone. "If Thorn lives because of your blood, then you're in danger, too." And now, as he smiled mechanically for the cameras, every second without her was like an ache in his veins. "Mr. Thorn, over here," shouted a reporter. "Rumor has it, your recovery was a miracle. Care to comment?" Alexander's jaw clenched. "No comment," he said curtly, brushing past them. Inside the ballroom, the orchestra played, glasses clinked, and executives whispered about the invincible CEO who came back from the dead. He moved through them like a ghost, his eyes scanning every face. Until he froze. There she was. Elena stood by the entrance in a borrowed black dress that barely fit her, her hair loose, eyes uncertain. She looked out of place, like innocence dropped into a pool of predators. Their eyes met across the room. For a moment, time fractured. The noise faded, leaving only the thunder of his heart, the one she had brought back. He started walking toward her. "Why are you here?" His voice was low, urgent when he reached her. "I didn't plan to come," she whispered. "Someone sent me an invitation. Said it was important." Alexander frowned.
Who?
Before she could answer, a woman's voice cut through the crowd like a blade. "Of course she's here. The miracle donor herself. Victoria Lang, the company's CFO and Alexander's ex-fiancée, approached with a venomous smile. Cameras turned immediately. "Everyone," Victoria said loudly, holding up a champagne flute. "Let's toast to the girl who brought our CEO back from the dead." Murmurs spread. Phones lifted. The crowd buzzed like bees around blood. Elena's face paled. "What are you doing?" she hissed. Victoria's grin widened. "Telling the truth. Or should I say, half the truth? Because the other half is far more interesting." She pulled out her phone and tapped play. On the giant LED screen behind the stage, grainy security footage appeared. Elena sneaking into the hospital room the night of Alexander's near-death. Blood bags, chaos, alarms. Her face, desperate, wild, human, filling the frame. Gasps echoed through the hall. "She forced the transfusion?" someone whispered. "She's just a nobody. How did she even get access?" Alexander's blood ran cold. "Victoria, stop this." "Oh, come on, Alex," she purred. "Everyone deserves to know who really saved you. The homeless girl who broke into your hospital room. The one who nearly killed you with untested blood." Elena's lips trembled. "That's not true." "Security, remove her," Victoria snapped. The guards moved forward. Alexander stepped in front of Elena instantly. "Touch her and you're fired," he said, voice like thunder. The entire hall went silent. Victoria blinked. "You're defending her? After everything?" He turned to her slowly. "She didn't just save my life, she gave it to me. And you? You were ready to bury me before the doctors even called time of death." A collective gasp rippled through the guests. Victoria's composure cracked. "You're blinded by her, Alexander.
You don't even know what she is."
Elena flinched. "Stop, please." "Tell him," Victoria shouted. "Tell him why your blood works on him. Tell him what you really are. Elena's breath hitched. I don't know, she cried. I swear, I don't know why my blood did that. But the damage was done. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. The perfect gala collapsed into chaos. Come with me, Alexander said, grabbing Elena's hand. They pushed through the crowd as shouts and flashes followed them. They burst through the service exit into the cold night. Rain began to fall, sharp, sudden, cleansing. Under a flickering streetlight, Elena pulled her hand free. You shouldn't have done that, she said, voice shaking. You've just ruined your own image for me. I don't care about my image, he said roughly. I care about you. She shook her head. You think this is love? You don't even know me. I know enough, he shot back. I know that every time you're near, my heart feels alive. I know that whatever's happening between us, it's not coincidence. Tears filled her eyes. You're wrong. It is a coincidence. I'm nobody, Alexander. I don't belong in your world. He stepped closer, rain running down his face. Then I'll burn my world to make room for you. Her breath caught. The vulnerability in his eyes, the same man who'd once ruled skyscrapers with silence, was now just a man, undone by a girl who had nothing. For a second, she almost believed it. Then a black car screeched to a stop at the curb. Two men in suits stepped out. Elena Ward. One called. Come with us. You're needed for further medical testing regarding the Thorne case. Alexander moved protectively in front of her. Who authorized this? Dr. Rivera, the man replied. Urgent matter. Confidential. Elena's eyes darted between them. Alex, maybe I should. No, his grip tightened. You're not going anywhere. But before he could react, one of the men jabbed a syringe into his neck. Alex, she screamed. He staggered, eyes wide, before collapsing into her arms. The men seized her. We warned you, one hissed. Your blood doesn't just save, it binds. They dragged her into the car as Alexander's body went limp on the rain-soaked pavement. Her last glimpse before the door slammed was his face, pale, motionless, but still beautiful under the stormlight. Elena's voice trembled as the car sped away. Please don't let him die again. A shadowed figure in the front seat replied coldly, He won't. Not if you do what we need. Emotional focus, explosive confrontation, public humiliation, and the collapse of trust and control. Cliffhanger. Alexander collapses. Elena is taken by mysterious agents. The stakes are now life and death for both. The world outside the hospital window was drenched in rain, silver streaks racing down the glass like tears from a sky that couldn't stop grieving. Inside, Aiden Cross, the man once called the untouchable CEO, stood frozen before the hospital bed where Alara lay, pale, fragile, and heartbreakingly still. Her hand, once warm enough to save his life, was now ice-cold in his grasp. Her pulse is weak, the doctor said softly. She lost too much blood. If she hadn't donated, you wouldn't be standing here, Mr. Cross. The words hit him harder than any bullet ever could. She gave him life. And now she was slipping away. Aiden's jaw tightened as memories came rushing. The day she stumbled into his world, barefoot and trembling, offering her blood without hesitation. He remembered her eyes, steady, fearless, when every doctor had already given up on him. Now those same eyes were closed. Don't you dare leave me, Aiden whispered, his voice cracking for the first time in years. You gave me my heartbeat back, Alara. You don't get to take it away. Hours later, the storm raged louder. Thunder rattled the hospital windows as Aiden sat beside her, refusing to move. His assistant, Lucas, entered quietly with updates from the board, investors panicking, the media circling like vultures, but Aiden cut him off. Cancel every meeting. Every deal. Nothing matters until she wakes up. Lucas hesitated. Sir, the press already knows she. I said nothing matters. His voice held a weight that silenced even the storm. When Lucas left, Aiden turned back to Alara. He reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair from her forehead. You walked into my world like you didn't belong and somehow made it feel like home. He took her limp hand in both of his, pressing it against his chest. You said once that people see me as a machine, that I don't know what love is. Maybe you were right until now. A single tear escaped him, the kind he hadn't shed since childhood, landing on her knuckles. And for a fleeting second her finger twitched. Aiden froze. Alara? Her lips parted, the faintest breath escaping. Her eyelids fluttered, revealing eyes that seemed to glow even in the dim light. Aiden? He leaned closer, his hand trembling. I'm here. She blinked slowly, her voice fragile. You should be in your office. Your empire needs you. He gave a soft, broken laugh. My empire means nothing if you're not in it. A faint smile touched her lips. You were dying when I found you. I thought saving you would give my life meaning. And it did, he whispered, because it brought you to me. For a long moment, they just stared. Two souls who had no right to find each other, but did. The air between them pulsed with something raw, something deeper than gratitude, a bond forged in blood and near death. But then the heart monitor beeped erratically. Doctor. Aiden shouted, panic flooding him. Nurses rushed in. The doctor barked orders. Aiden was forced out of the way, watching as they surrounded her again, the same way they had surrounded him days ago. It was happening again. No, he whispered, pounding a fist against the wall. Not her. Not now. Her body jerked once, then went still. The flat line pierced through his chest like a blade. Aiden's knees buckled. Alara. But before despair could swallow him whole, the sound changed. Beep, beep, beep. Her heartbeat returned. Weak but steady. Hours later, the chaos subsided. The doctors smiled faintly. She's stable. It's a miracle, Mr. Cross. Aiden couldn't speak. He just walked to her bedside again, sinking into the chair. Her breathing was steady now, her hand warm again. He leaned close, his voice low. Do you know what you did to me, Alara? You made me remember what it feels like to fight for something that isn't built with money. Outside, the storm had finally broken. Dawn light slipped through the blinds, soft and golden, like hope itself. Alara's fingers curled around his hand in her sleep, as if her soul recognized him even when her body couldn't. And in that quiet, fragile moment, Aiden Cross, the man the world called heartless, realized something undeniable. He wasn't just alive because of her blood. He was living for her now. But as the morning light spread across the room, a shadow appeared at the doorway. A woman in a black coat, holding a folder marked confidential, Alara Grant, classified donor file. Her eyes flicked toward the sleeping girl, then to Aiden. And with a faint, knowing smirk, she whispered to herself. So, he doesn't know who she really is yet.